Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Dewi puspitasari. I'm from class B. I will debate with the motion ban physical punishment against children by parents. Okay, let me start. A parent might use physical violence as a substitute for an explanation or lecture. They prove that violence damages a child mentally and physically by making a completely valid argument about fear, humiliation, and proper bruises inflicted on the child's body. Parents who support the use of physical punishment for disciplining children claim there are many benefits of this parenting tool. First, they feel that at a certain age, 2 to 6 years of age, children cannot easily understand logic and reasoning. Physical punishment is the only language children can understand instantaneously. Physical punishment can be effective on a short-term basis in getting children to change any negative behavior. Therefore, it is better not to waste time on teaching them how to behave. Instead, show them the fear of doing something wrong, and children will obey and behave absolutely right when they are afraid of punishment. A second argument used to support physical punishment of children is that some adults point to the physical discipline they received as a contributing factor to their success. Not only did they not suffer harm from their parents' hitting, they learned valuable lessons that benefited them into their adult lives. Many of today's parents receive spanking from their own parents when they misbehave as children. They grow up healthily and productively as members of society. They thus feel that this is a proper form of discipline for their own children. They are not violent and do not hit their children. A third argument for physical punishment is its deterrent effect. In a large family, if one child is physically punished in front of other children, not only that child learns to behave, others also learn a lesson to behave. Nevertheless, most parents love their children and want them to be successful in their future life. As responsible parents, they are committed to make their children well educated and behave properly. Non-abusive physical punishment is the last option when the reasoning is not effective. Similarly, a research result showed that African American children had beneficial or neutral outcomes when applied a non-abusive physical punishment. Therefore, parental right to retain spanking as one disciplinary option should be also guaranteed. As you guys know, children's brain literally work different to ours. Treating children as adults doesn't work for the simple reason that children are not adults. Rather, children undergo a process of cognitive development, where they gradually learn to be able to rationalize things and work things through. To understand child behavior, we need to understand how children think. There are two ways children learn something. The first is to do something and see what reinforcement you get. If the reinforcement you get is good or neutral, you might do it again. If it's bad, then you probably won't. This is called classical conditioning. And then the second is by watching what other people do and the kinds of reinforcement that they receive. It's a bit more complicated than pure imitation. Children will imitate only when the other character did not receive negative reinforcement for their actions. So, when Batman beats up a bad guy and is seen to save the day, children might beat up their enemies too. However, when Cookie Monster has to say sorry for stealing cookies, children learn not to steal. Rather than imitate Cookie Monster, this is called observational learning. We, as adults, have more sophisticated modes of learning available to us. Although we learn much slower, note that both methods really on reinforcement for a child to know an action is good or bad. They must observe or be aware of the good or bad outcome. Reasoning will obviously be ideal and most conducive to that child's development. However, between the ages of 2 and 6, children haven't learned to reason yet. Though some other form of corrective behavior is necessary, although it can be a good opportunity to teach reasoning by association with the reinforcement. Since the children are not rational, some other type of reinforcement is required. Most parents practice positive reinforcement in this style, such as giving good children a lollipop or a pat on the back. If that's good parenting, then I suggest that negative reinforcement, like spanking for instance, to avoid undesirable behaviors, should also be classed as good parenting. That's why corporal punishment is sometimes required. The little boy, given only rational reinforcement, will not understand it and thus to be tempted to do it all again. Why not shoot the very naughty kid? Because less harmful action, such as a slap to the buttocks, would be sufficient to do the job. We both agree that parents should be reasonably nice to their children, and that means protecting them from danger. A slap to the buttocks protects them in that it prevents them from getting themselves killed in the future, whilst a gunshot wound or knife cut at best puts them in more danger. I should add that I wasn't attempting to prove anything with this point. It was just to set the context and show that parents typically aren't whacking their kids because they feel like it. Kids have serious tantrums, and parents need to be serious in dealing with them too. It isn't because it's easy that one does it. It's because it's really important that children learn, and there's no other way to get through to them. Mental passions are a special case because they lack the learning capacity. So physical reinforcement is usually pretty pointless. It's because the punishment is corrective, meaning that children can learn from it, that we allow it to happen to them. Because you cannot engage them mentally or rationally. Assuming they have not yet developed the capacity for this, the only available option is physical. In fact, a large number of parents still use some form of punishment that involves inflicting physical pain when disciplining their children. They think that disciplining children is their right and responsibility. Some parents' success today results from their parents' physical punishment disciplines. Also, those parents think that physical punishment is a highly efficient and immediately effective disciplinary option for correcting misbehavior. Not only does one child behave properly, but all other children in a family follow as well. Okay, so that's just for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.